Hey everyone, and welcome to my October book haul. So in this bag is all of the books that I've recently hauled, and considering it's fall, I think it's about time I do another book haul, so let's get into it. First one is Babel, and this one I've actually read now and believe the hype with this book. This is a dark academia set in the 1800s, that's right, in Oxford, and we are following our main character of Robin and the other people in his cohort for his year at university, or his years at university I should say, as they are basically dealing with the racism, colonialism of the time of Babel itself and Oxford in general and England in general, and as they try to basically sort of stop this issue and make things more equal and fight against the colonial powers that are against them. Now, usually I do not read books that are historical, I don't do books that are like really character focused, I don't do slow books, and I definitely don't do books where the fantasy elements are really sort of like minimal. But I absolutely adored this book, as in it was a 5-star read, I cannot get enough of it, it was absolutely brilliant. Believe the hype is all I can say, because I did not expect myself to enjoy this as much as I did, but I loved this book, I'm obsessed with it. Believe the hype, that's all I've got. Believe the hype, this is incredible, I loved it. But this is not a wrap up, so moving on. I also have Gear Breakers by Zoe Hannah Mikuda, and this one says the only way to kill a god is from the inside. There are like giant mechanical robots, it's giving me Pacific Rim vibes. I love Pacific Rim, so I'm really excited to read this one. I don't really know much else about it, I've just heard amazing things, and also, look at that flop. It's a good flop. So, very excited to read this one and enjoy the flop as I read it. I also have The Reluctant Vampire Queen by Jo Simmons, and this one says, meet Mo Merridew, independent young woman, committed vegetarian, president of the Debating Society, and potentially the Vampire Queen of Great Britain, which just sounds amazing. I am here for this. I want to read more vampires, I want to read more sort of like light-hearted books on occasion and maybe get more into that like contemporary type kind of thing. There's a few different genres I want to try out, so this is very high on that list, and I'm just very excited to read this one. I haven't heard too many things about this one, but I'm just here for vampires. Speaking of vampires, I also got The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave, and this one is a retelling of The Brides of Dracula that Hannah from Ladder M, who I actually got all of these books from her store Waypoint, which I'll leave a link to down below, you should definitely all go check it out. She has raved about this book for years, so I caved and bought it. I obviously haven't read it yet, even though it is Gothtober. I may wait until next year's Gothtober to read this, because it's that kind of vibe. But either way, very excited to give it a go, because I love a good retelling, and I've never read a Dracula retelling as far as I know. So very excited to give this one a go, and also the cover is so pretty. I love the shiny on it. And then the final book I got from Hannah was Mina and the Undead, which is another vampire book. This one is by Amy McCaw, and this one is set in New Orleans in 1995, and Mina is meeting her estranged sister, and basically it's sort of, she ends up at a part-time job at a horror movie mansion and all of this kind of thing, and there's brutal supernatural killings and all that good stuff, essentially. I've just heard Hannah and everybody else raving about this one. Apparently there's loads of references to various different bits of vampire media as well, which I'm absolutely here for, because I grew up watching so many vampire things, so I'm just here for more vampires. There's essentially a theme here, and it's vampires, but there we go. And that's everything I got from Hannah. Everything else I've gone either on sale from somewhere or from Waterstones pre-orders or the rest of it. So the first thing I got from Waterstones was The Balloon Thief, and first of all, can we just appreciate that sprayed edge? Because I mean, that is absolutely stunning, and this one I picked up half because of the cover and half because I've heard a lot of hype around this one, and we're following our main character who is escaping from a betrothal, and she jumps into a rogue hot air balloon, and she ends up getting involved in the revolution, and her and her friend have to decide where they belong and whether their friendship is worth fighting for, that kind of thing, and it just sounded really interesting. I've heard a lot of people hyping this one up, and I couldn't resist that sprayed edge. I mean, it's gorgeous. How could I resist that? And then the final two physical books I've got to show you, both of them I have also read. So I've essentially out of this book haul, all of the hardcovers I've read, which is not like me at all, but there we go. So the first one I'm going to mention is Spaceman by Tom Fletcher. This is Tom Fletcher of McFly's latest book, and if you don't know, I am a massive McFly fan. I literally dye my hair 5 colours. You can't see because it's starting to wash out a bit now, but never mind. But I'm a massive McFly fan, so I am a bit biased towards this book, but I still love it, and I can't help but love it. This one is following a band called the Earthlings, and they are a bunch of kids in a band, and they are essentially the worst band on Earth, and then they suddenly get beamed up into space, and they end up essentially fighting in an intergalactic battle of the bands competition against a whole load of other bands, and if they win, they save Earth. If they don't, Earth gets destroyed, essentially. And I love this. Obviously, like I said, I am biased, but this was so much fun. This was filled with McFly references. Like, there's a character in here called Stargirl, which is one of my favourite songs that they've ever done. There's, like, lyrics references. There's loads of, like, fun drawings. There's, like, different references to Tom's life as well and other musicians. There's a band in here called Bugsy, for example, and they are Tom's son's band. You've also got Michael Double, which I found quite funny. Stargirl, like I said, a whole load of others. So that was really fun. Also, there is actually QR codes throughout this book where if you scan it, it takes you to the songs that the band is singing, and they've actually been recorded by McFly, so that is amazing. I love that element of it. I just generally really love this. I love the heart of it. I love the storyline of it. It was generally great. It was a 5-star read, obviously, and I loved it. I've got nothing else further than to say I absolutely love this. And then finally we have Amari and the Great Game, which is the final one that I read. First of all, can we appreciate, again, the sprayed edges. They are gorgeous, and also this front cover is absolutely stunning. And again, I absolutely love this book. The first book was really good. This one built on that a bit more, and we got more of like the supernatural side of things and more like storyline and world building and all the rest of it. I love like the stakes of this one. I love the focus on friendship and more learning more about these characters, all the rest of it, and it was just great. I loved it, as per always, and I think this was a 4-star as well, but this is not a wrap up, so I'm just going to say I absolutely love this one. And then everything else was ebooks. So the first one I got was The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making, which is one hell of a title, but this one is following a young girl who gets taken to Fairyland, and she has to try and save the world with a book-loving dragon and a partly human boy. I originally got this for a read-along, but I haven't read it yet, and the live stream was like last night at time of filming, if I remember rightly, so I'm a little bit behind, but my plan is that as soon as I finish filming this video, I'm going to go start reading it, so it's fine. I know what I'm doing. Sort of. Anyway, I've heard nothing but great things about Catherynne M. Valente, who is the author of this book, and it just sounded really good fun, so I'm going to be giving it a go, and I'm really excited. I also got Final Girls, and this one is a sort of novella by Myra Grant, aka Shauna Maguire, and this one is following... It's sort of like a sci-fi kind of thing where these two women are placed inside these pods and they end up in an augmented reality world where they are the final girls of a zombie apocalypse, but the problem is if they die in the machine, they die in real life. And this was really good fun. I really enjoyed this one. It was like a really good sort of like little short horror-y type thing, and I had a great time reading it, and I gave it 4 stars. Speaking of Myra Grant, I actually also got Into the Drowning Deep, and this one is about murderous mermaids. Didn't need to know anything else. I was here for this. This is one of Myra Grant's most hyped books, so I was like, well, I've got to give this one a go, so definitely excited to read it. I also bought Malice while it was on sale, and this one is a Sleeping Beauty retelling where the princess falls for the witch who cursed her. I wanted to give it a go because A, I want to go outside of my comfort zone of just reading like Beauty and the Beast retellings, things like this, so I wanted to go outside of that, and B, I also want to get outside of my comfort zone next year and read more books with a romance sort of element to them. I've got a whole reading vlog planned for that, so we'll see how that goes next year. And this one is definitely now on the list. Again, I've heard amazing things about this, so I figured that this was going to be the best one to go for and to sort of add to that sort of growing list that I'm slowly building of romantic based books that are in genres I usually enjoy, but sort of still challenging myself with the whole idea of romance. But that is for a reading vlog and an explanation for later. Essentially, I got this one for reading vlog. I also have The Book Eaters, which is highly recommended by everyone, and this one is about a group of people who eat books and stories until one has a kid who wants to eat brains. Perfect for this time of year, and also the author is autistic, and I'm always here for supporting autistic authors, so that is great. Cannot wait to read this one. Again, I've heard people raving about this book, so I may not be able to wait until next October to read it, but we'll see. Either way, it just sounds amazing, so I cannot wait to read it. And then the final book I have outside of comics is the Dresden Files 1, and this one, I can't remember the full title of it, but it's the first one in the Dresden Files, and this one is about a private investigator wizard, and I remember the TV show. I watched the TV show years ago now, like absolutely years ago, and so I wanted to give the books a go because I remembered it recently and I was like, I should probably read the books because I really liked the TV show as a kid. And actually, now that I've just remembered it, I've got the ebook, but I probably should have gotten the audiobook because the audiobook is narrated by James Marsters, aka Spike from Buffy, who was definitely one of my favourite actors as a teenager, which is around the time I was watching Dresden Files, so may have to investigate that. But either way, very excited to finally have this so I can finally read it. And then finally, I have 3 comics, all of them Sandman related, because I went on a bit of a Sandman thing this month and the last few months, I'm not going to lie. So the first one is the Sandman Overture, and this one is a sort of prequel thing to the Sandman. It was slightly incorporated into the TV show, things like this, so I really wanted to get it because I've got the rest of the Sandman, so definitely can't wait to get to it. I also have Death, The High Cost of Living and The Time of Your Life. This is spin-offs about Sandman's death, so that is Sandman's sister. Death, who is the anthropomorphic personification of death, essentially. She doesn't have the scythe or the cloak or anything else. She looks pretty human and she's a really fun, interesting character. I loved her when I first met her in the comics, the TV show and the audiobook, so I wanted to get to know her a bit better and get to see her shine by herself, so I got these 2. And then also I got The Dreaming, The Waking Hours, and this one is a spin-off written by G. Willow Wilson, who did A-Force and also the Miss Marvel stuff, so that was quite intriguing to me because I like her writing style. And this one is about one of Dream's nightmares and the first dreamer they were meant to haunt, essentially, which just sounded like fun because I am always here for more about the dreaming and nightmares and all of that good stuff, and I trust G. Willow Wilson as well as a writer, so I also picked it up while it was on sale. And that is actually the end of the book haul. I know that was a lot, but I let it build up over a couple of months again. I'm hopefully going to stop doing that, but I mean, it depends on how quickly the bag gets filled up at this point, because that's now my new system for it. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me a book I should prioritise, I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a music-related emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, which has actually got a brief summary as well of Sandman down there if you're interested in that. I'll also leave a link as well down below to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which sells bookish merch if you're interested in that, including this tote bag if you want to get yourself one, or if you just want to see any more of my videos where I actually read these books, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!